Welcome, everyone. Azure Cosmos DB Live TV. I am Mark Brown, and I've got with us this week Gahl Levy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Mark?
Good to see you. Episode 41. This week, we're going to talk about our new MongoDB 4.2 support. I'm so excited about this. This is great. Thanks for coming on and talking to us about this today. I know you're not feeling well, so I'm not going to torture you too much. Maybe just a little.
I am feeling great about this new release, though. So I'm really excited to be here, regardless, and talk to you and to all your viewers about this. So thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, so I wanted to introduce this new release we had it come out on Monday. It's the API for MongoDB 4.2. As you know, we also support 3.2, 3.6, and 4.0. And now recently we just launched 4.2 in GA for our users.
Can I ask you a question right off the bat? So I think Mongo's now deprecated 3.2. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. 3.2 and 3.6 and 4.0 is coming up soon, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason for that is that each of these versions are different code bases, and it's a lot of work to have developers go and maintain many of these versions simultaneously. And you might be asking, like, why can we even have these versions?
That is kind of where I was going. Like, how can we do it when even like Mongo, who,
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting is with Cosmos DB, with the API for MongoDB, I'll just skip to this slide here, but we're actually not running any MongoDB code at all whatsoever. 0%. It's all proprietary code on top of Cosmos DB, which implements the same wire protocol as MongoDB. So from your perspective, from your client's perspective, it is a MongoDB database, but you get all the benefits of Cosmos DB. One of those benefits is that all of our versions run on the exact same code base. And what that means is, from a maintainability standpoint, it's not very hard for us to maintain each version. And each version is essentially config changes with feature flags being turned on and off, which means the upgrade process, in addition, is very, very easy. It only takes a few seconds to actually complete.
That's cool. So if I've got a workload that's, say, running on-prem, and it's an older Mongo workload, and I want to bring that to the cloud, so Cosmos, or at least our Mongo API for Cosmos, it would be a good choice, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah. So it'd be very easy to basically go on to, for example, an older version, and then if you decide at any point you want to upgrade to a newer version, you just press the upgrade button in the portal. Within a few seconds, you're upgraded. Obviously, you want to test before in dev test before just going straight to production. But the upgrade process is very, very easy from there. And even in addition, you can even downgrade from there if you want to, because it's just turning off those feature flags. So it's pretty simple just to go back and forth. And from a code perspective, it's simple for us.
That's even more fascinating, actually. So you could bring your existing older workload over, maybe spin up a test instance using that same API version, and then basically upgrade that instantly with a flag, and then upgrade to the latest version that we've got in there. So that's very cool. I like this.
Yeah, and just I guess to touch on some other points. So what's most important for us is compatibility in terms of, like, your tooling and your application will work in the same kind of way. From their perspective, they're still talking to a MongoDB database, but they're actually not. But as your audience knows, there's many benefits to Cosmos DB, such as not having to manage the infrastructure yourself, benefiting from the SLAs, the availability, the 5 nines availability, and most importantly, the scaling, the elasticity of being able to scale up and down very quickly. That's something that you gain by using our version of the API for MongoDB on Cosmos DB. That's
right, because I think the Mongo version of this Atlas uses VMs as scale units, basically, right? So you have to add whole VMs in there.
Yeah, so essentially, when you scale with other services, you have to basically scale in blocks of a VM like granularity. and that's not as efficient because you have to be able to plan basically for those spikes of utilization within that, compared to, for example, using our auto scale. Instead of having to wait for the scale to occur and also over provision in order to make sure that your users have a consistent user experience, we can scale and allocate those resources to you instantly and scale up and down frequently and immediately, and your users are happy because they get the performance they expect, and you're only paying for what you actually use.
Yep, very cool. Yeah, and it's our auto scale. I mean, is immediate, right, for users. So you scale up right when you need it, and then it scales down right when you don't, and then the billing block for that is just an hour, right? Versus, I think on Atlas, if you scale up with Atlas, I think it takes a lot longer to scale back down, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believe it's 24 hours, I believe.
Oh wow. Okay.
And also when you scale up and down, with our auto scale here, you're scaling in a fractions of a VM granularity. You're scaling based on the throughput you actually need. You're not over provisioning by getting a larger VM that can contain those spikes up and down. Because as a developer, my most important thing there is to make sure my users have a consistent experience. They don't have delays when a lot of users join and use the product.
Yep.
So that's really important.
Yep.
Just to touch on the other ones here, we obviously have a standard provision throughput, which means the throughput is set at some level that you pay for that, and it's consistent. So for consistent workloads, it works really well. We also have serverless, which is GA, and that means that it's sporadic workloads, dev and test workloads, that sort of thing. So for example, you can touch a database once a week and only pay for the RUs you use when you're actually using it, and pay nothing otherwise, which is pretty amazing.
Very cool. Yep.
So let me just kind of complete this, kind of just finish touching on the main points of why you would choose the API from MongoDB, and then we can talk about 4.2 and I have a short demo afterwards. So in terms of choosing the API from MongoDB, like why would you choose us? So we talked about the scalability. The automatic and transparent sharding is really important. As you scale and you add more and more users to your application and grow your usage, you want to be able to shard and not have to worry about sharding, how many shards you have, how large they are, what machines are using, all that. We manage all of that for you. You just have to tell us like what is your shard key that you want to use, and we'll distribute the data for you automatically. And as you scale, we'll grow with you automatically. So that's pretty amazing, and it really takes a lot of like operational workload off of the user. We find our users really like that because they can scale to gigantic workloads, huge workloads. Next thing here is the availability. We have the highest availability. We have 5 nines. Like as a developer, I don't want to worry about my application going down and not working, and this practically almost guarantees that. So that's a great kind of relief for developers, knowing that their application will continue and stay running. The next one here is the cost efficiency. That's important to any business. You want to be able to track that utilization line much closer and only pay for what you use, compared to over provisioning and paying more than what you need. And with Cosmos DB, multi-tenant service, we're much more able to do that because we have this large pool of resources we can allocate to you instantaneously. We already touched on serverless, and obviously, we also have a free tier that applies to Cosmos DB in general. The upgrades, we also touched on that, but they take seconds. This is like really unique in the database world.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's like I've done upgrades before, and it's such an annoying process.
Is it that? Oh my God.
I'm like crossing my fingers the entire time. Like, please don't mess up. Please don't mess up. And the last point here is that just Cosmos DB and the API for MongoDB is a native Azure service, and that means we have native integrations with other Azure services such as Synapse, and we have the Synapse link, which basically moves the data in real time over to Synapse and allows you to perform analytics queries on it in a much more efficient and cost efficient and performant manner, without impacting your operational workload in Cosmos DB whatsoever. And these kind of integrations perform really well because they're all native to Azure itself.
Yeah, I had Chris Yoakum on a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, and he walked users through how to do HTAP analytics on top of Mongo, which is just awesome.
Yeah, amazing.
So cool.
So For Mongo users specifically, like the three things I think I'd really hammer down on making sure people know before they use the API for MongoDB is first is as a user, you're not built for virtual machines in a cluster. You're built for request units and for storage in an Azure Cosmos DB account. And this is because in some services you provision VMs, and that comes with the issues with over provisioning and choosing machine type and sharding things yourself, compared to our multi-tenant service where we manage basically everything for you, and you just pay for what the actual throughput, the cost it takes to actually perform the request that you're using, as well as the storage backing that. The second is we have three different ways of provisioning throughput, and it's important to kind of look at them and see which one works the best for you and learn about them. One thing to note is autoscale is a great way to start because a lot of folks don't know how many RUs they need. You can model it out, but it's always good just to try autoscale initially because that way you'll scale and only pay for what you use basically, and then you can always go to provision throughputs later on. So that's a great way that we see people starting off. And the last thing is sharded collections performance is really dependent on the shard key you choose. So it's important to know your data and your queries you'll be using and choose the correct shard key so your performance will scale with your data and users.
Yep.
So basic stuff. I'm assuming all your watchers know almost all of this.
Well,
right?
if they don't know it now, it's stuff, especially that last one, that they'll learn once they put their app into production and put it under load, and then realize, oh, that shard key I chose maybe not so good.
Yeah, it's better to learn about these things before and then learn them through usage, if that makes sense.
So I tell users, I go, you've got to understanding those access patterns for your app, like how often are you reading and writing data, where are you reading and writing data, who's reading and writing data, all those things, and at what volumes are they doing it. I mean, you really don't know until you put it under a real load, right, to see how it's going to perform. And it's hard, and you're in early design, exactly the access patterns for your app. So in some cases, it's not uncommon to put an app into production. I mean, you can try the best you absolutely can. But in some cases, it's not uncommon for customers to release an app and then maybe be surprised by how it's being used, and then have to revisit like some design decisions. That's not uncommon for any app, really. And it's true for databases as well. You may have to come back and create another collection that's going to be used to serve some set of queries and change feed between them, or change streams in Mongo's case.
You can start in serverless mode and develop, figure out what you need, how your app will work, the database needs, and then eventually either stick with serverless, or if you're going to something that's more consistent, go to autoscale or provision throughput later on. There. So So now the part I'm really excited about, which is the part I've been waiting to talk about, is the 4.2 release. I mean, you might say, we're always, pushing out new releases and stuff like that, but this is a really exciting one. It's 4.2, and I know lots of folks have been waiting for this, so I'm really excited to have this in GA for everyone to use and benefit from. So some of the big differences here are aggregation pipeline changes, which allow you to to have more expressive queries and really, get the information you want from your data, if that makes sense. So there's new stages and variables. One example is merge, which I'll be demoing later. Trigonometry, a great reminder of high school and stuff I forget and I don't use often. But that this kind of brought back my earlier years to me. And yeah, more arithmetic expressions listed around and regex operations to help, when you want to match strings. It makes this much easier and much more descriptive and complex.
Yeah.
So overall, basically, lots of helpful things that will just make life easier for developers, because instead of having to implement this stuff in the code themselves, they can just leverage this in the API from MongoDB instead. To sum things up. Next off, this is like really interesting to me. So this is a driver-side feature, client-side field encryption, and now this is fully supported in the API for MongoDB in 4.2. And what this allows you as a user is to use the MongoDB drivers to encrypt and decrypt data before it ever leaves your machine and before it goes over the wire to the database. So this gives you as a user full control over who can see the data yourself for the the entire path yourself, and no one else can basically decrypt it, which is a neat. It's a very important security kind of aspect of having a database for certain applications. And what we support, just to be clear here, what we support in the API for MongoDB 4.2 and Cosmos DB is explicitly encrypting your data, which is a feature of the drivers. Be able to say, I want to encrypt, this field, etc. Explicit decryption, as well as automatic decryption, where you can. It's a setting in the driver where you can say, whenever I get an encrypted field, automatically decrypt it, so you don't have to write that code in the application. One benefit of doing things this way is that there's no need to run the MongoCrypt process alongside each one of your drivers. That's only a requirement for certain things, and for the security flow that I outlined here, that is not required. So there's no need to run any additional processes alongside your client. And essentially, what this gives you is it gives you guaranteed privacy, or guaranteed to limit privacy of your encrypted data. I'm sure with some quantum computing, technology in the future, they'll be able to figure things out faster. But there'll be leaps since then, hopefully.
Now, can I query this data that's been encrypted or not?
Yeah, you can query it. All you'll get is like a bunch of jumbled up data that makes no sense. So you can query it. You can query the. It's basically, imagine like a field. If you made a social security number a field,
yeah,
getting a number, you just get some binary blob of a mess, basically.
So I'd get it back garbage, but could I use one of these encrypted fields as a filter predicate?
That is a good question. I don't believe so.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so, but because that wouldn't. If you're searching on something that makes no, if it's garbage, that I don't believe so. But I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah. One interesting request we've been getting for this is to we have users who have compliance requirements, such as be able to delete data, so delete like a person's data. And I believe this is in California, CCPA, I believe. One way of deleting data is basically making it inaccessible to anyone. And if the data is encrypted and you take the key basically and throw it away, that's essentially the equivalent of throwing the data away in the trash. And from an operations perspective, that's a lot easier to do than to go and find every single field that applies to that user and manually deleting the data. So from an operational perspective, this really accelerates being able to meet these compliance requirements for certain use cases.
So for that last one, is that for customers that want to implement GDPR? You're saying that would help them meet that data deletion requirement?
Yeah, I believe for CCPA it applies. I'm not sure enough about the GDPR requirements, but I believe it'll apply there as well. I believe the answer is yes, because essentially you're deleting the data that way. But
yeah, California got all kinds of crazy privacy laws. I've never. I mean, I used to live here. I guess they had them back then. I just didn't care. But now after I returned, I'm like, wow, there's lots of privacy laws that I've never heard of before. Maybe they were new over the 20 years I lived up in.
I actually worked once in a place where I had to implement the CCPA requirements just as they came out in consumer software. And
I mean, you went to school down here, right, or Bay Area, right? So did they have these crazy privacy laws when you were going to school?
They privacy like privacy laws in terms of like student data, or
like any of these, like I don't know, just these.
I guess my opinion on that is they should have stricter privacy rules in certain cases, because a lot of I think it was the UC system had a breach of their data quite recently, and I hope things like this could have helped prevent that. But I forgot what the exact case was for that. But there was a breach of data where some data got critical data got stolen. So maybe the laws weren't followed there or applied, but yeah. It can be pretty scary stuff. When I just, I mean,
I don't mean to say they're crazy. I know everything has a reason, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like, I got, my kids in school or whatever, and like something happened. And I'm like, who was the kid? And they're like, oh, we can't tell you the privacy laws. I'm like, oh. I mean, your kid and my kid certainly know each other. Why keep anyway?
Well,
Okay.
maybe the roster and the kid's name was encrypted, so they couldn't find out.
Right. Sorry, it's encrypted. I don't know. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. We kind of are off the track, I guess.
Digressing just a little bit. That's always good. Oh, okay. This is a slide I had in the past for just to kind of show, just to get people's attention, because like I have a cat, and this is not my cat, but it's a great picture of a cat. So I just wanted to kind of put a picture to the frame of like how easy this is to upgrade. Imagine you're in 4.0 or 3.6 right now, or 3.2. You just press a button basically, and you upgrade your database. It's that easy.
Open the portal and have your cat walk across your keyboard. Is that
Yeah,
it?
you should start like a I don't know, it's a TikTok or Twitter thing basically where people post videos of their cats upgrading their databases for them. I might do that. I have a cat, so I might start doing that. She's an orange tabby. I think we can figure out how to get her to press the button. I might have to hold her hand the whole time, but I'm going to do that. Maybe on the next show.
I'm working on some Camtasia licenses for all of us, so I'm definitely going to send you a Camtasia license, and that's going to be your first video.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. And just to show what the cat would see from the cat's perspective, the cat would basically go to the features tab and press the server version. And in this example, it's 4.0. You press the button and press upgrade me, and then this pop-up comes down, and then a few seconds later, it'll be upgraded. And that's really it. And then your clients, as soon as your clients restart a connection, they'll see the new server version and continue working just as they were before.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So I'd love to give like a very, very quick demo of just 4.2 to show how merge works, and just to show like in the Mongo shell.
Sure. Viewers like your use of animal slides there. It's
I need to go like full into the animal slides. Like
I think you had didn't you have an animal slide in your last visit here?
I think so. That's something I like to do.
Is that your shtick? Is putting an animal slide in there?
I once had a presentation I gave that was I basically used koalas on every single slide. It was like an all hands presentation one, but it wasn't to troll anyone. It was just like I want people to remember what I'm saying, so I'm just going to put a bunch of koalas, and then it sticks in everyone's head. So it kind of started with the animal slides after that, and it sticks in people's heads. So and that's kind of the goal. You want people to remember what you're saying. And
yeah, absolutely. That's good. I think I like that.
Yeah. So as you see, I'm in Mongo Shell. I'm using 4.2. I connected to just an account I made on the portal, and it behaves just like every other Mongo database from that standpoint. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a database called products and a collection called prices, and we're going to insert these documents into it. Basically, product A, B, C, D, and the cost for each of these products. As you can see, there's one product C here that's very low cost. It's only $20 in this case. So we're going to insert that. And now it's inserted, and you can see because I didn't specify any ID here, it was assigned IDs. And now we're going to use what's new here, which is a 4.2 stage called merge. So we're going to use the aggregation pipeline here on the same database and the same collection, and we're going to match any document that has a cost. So the cost from before, the same price, that's greater than 100. So what we want to see is, we should filter out. We're basically filtering out product C here because we're only looking for expensive products, basically. And then we're going to use the merge operation here in order to insert into a new database that we're calling expensive products. This database does not exist yet, and a new collection called prices. Both of these will be created on the spot, and we're going to insert it. This is unique to merge compared to operations such as $out, we're going to insert it on the ID field. And imagine we were inserting into a collection, a database that already existed. If this already existed and those documents were already located in this, in this other database and collection, we would replace. We're telling Cosmos here to replace that document. And if that document doesn't exist, we're telling it to insert it. So we're basically replacing and inserting into a collection database. And because these don't exist, it'll create a brand new one.
This is going to create a new collection?
Yeah, it creates a new collection and creates a new database as well.
Oh.
So
how does it know how much throughput to use when it creates it?
Oh, so let me see if I can get out of this thing. Okay. So we have, so you see there's only one, there's only one here. So by default, we assign a default throughputs and all that when creating collections and databases. It's recommended in kind of production environments, that sort of thing. If you're doing this sort of thing, you can either use our extension commands through the Mongo shell, if you're using the Mongo shell, to specify what those throughputs, if you're using autoscale, that sort of thing is, just so you have more control. Or to go in the portal or through PowerShell, through the CLI, and set those up yourself, just to make sure that you're setting up the throughput and the type of throughput and all that yourself to the way you want it to be.
Got it.
But for demonstration purposes, this is a very easy way of doing it because it'll create it if it doesn't exist already.
Yeah, this looks, definitely easy from a developer or DevX point of view. I agree with you though. If you were in a production environment, you'd want your DevOps people would be coming to hunt you down if you were.
You don't want to go around creating a ton of this collection if you're doing this in a production environment, for sure. Another thing is the simplest thing to do is just this command does not need to change at all. You just make sure to create where was it? I was not putting the right command. You would just make sure to create the expensive products database and the prices collection beforehand, and this would work just as well.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So we can run this, and it just like that created the database, created the collection, all that super quick. And if we query this, we should see we're expecting to see these documents without product C because we filtered that out. So let's see what happens. Yep, and as you can see, product C was filtered out. And that kind of concludes my very rudimentary example of how to use $merge. As you can see, this works. It's a 4.2 functionality, and you can really build on top of this kind of logic and do a whole lot of things, especially when you're working on collections with documents that already exist and you're replacing and inserting things based on your business needs. Yeah,
you could definitely do lots of complex stuff with Ag Pipeline commands and stuff. So definitely, that's very cool. All right, so I guess for people, I should just put this up. If they want more info on how to upgrade and stuff, they can go to this this handy link here, aka MS upgrade-mongo-4, and then that's going to have some docs on how to do it. But like you said, you don't need a doc. If you got a cat, that's all you need.
Yeah, very self-explanatory. Any creature, cat, dog, hamster can do it as well.
Oh, a hamster can do it. That's okay.
I don't know. Can hamsters trigger keyboard? I think they're heavy enough. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you get those very light touch keyboards. The mechanical ones, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I don't require not the really noisy ones, but I think it's like the brown keys.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So cool. Well, hey, Gahl, it was great having you on. I'm gonna have you on again at the end of March. You're gonna talk about our new Python IO or async IO support for Python SDK, right?
Yeah, for the Python SDK.
Very cool. Well, we'll see you then. Yeah, thanks again for coming on. It was great. I'm really excited for the Mongo 4.2 support. So yeah, great work on that. Okay. Well, thank you folks for joining this week. Just a few announcements. We run a monthly virtual user group for Cosmos DB. Come join us and check out all of our great meetups. They're all on YouTube. So you can come join us there on Meetup and sign up, be a Cosmos DB Cosmonaut or user group member, whatever you want. You can get, maybe if you're lucky, win one of these little Cosmos DB little neoprene coasters, or maybe get a sticker if you're lucky. So come and join us for that. This is episode 41. We've got 40 other episodes you can go and watch. Come check us out and see all the great stuff. You can go back and watch the episode we had on Mongo and Synapse Link with Chris Yoakum, and see how you can use our Mongo API to ingest Mongo data for your application, and then go and use either Spark or SQL to build HTAP analytics on top of that. Also coming up is Cosmos Conf, April 19th and 20th. We're in three-hour live streams, some on-demand sessions as well. Love you if you're out there building and using Cosmos DB. Come share what you've learned and show off your talent. So submit a session if you'd like. Sessions are, CFP is open until March 10th, so you got about a week in there. I think I see a question. Oh, no. Just Sarah saying thanks for sharing today. So, yep, definitely good. Great, Gahl. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.